Here I am. Here he is. Here we are. Welcome to the first ever Talkin' Ball with Scotty and Sergio. Sergio, what's up, brother?
How's it going?
I'm good,
Beautiful
mate.
day here. Finally, the weather's turning around in LA a little bit.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. And you
How
guys
you
still
doing, bud?
locked down? I'm good, brother. We've had a little bit of cooler weather the last couple of days after we had a bit of a heat wave here in Sydney, Australia. But summer's coming. We're ready for the beach, ready for some basketball. We had training camp starting the next day. I'm pumped, brother. I'm pumped.
It's going to be an interesting season. A lot of changes on the rosters and a lot of teams chasing the Lakers.
100%, and they've done pretty well. Guys, on our first podcast today, we're going to talk about all the trades that happened about a week ago. And the next podcast, we'll get into free agency, and then we're going to give every team, we'll dive into every team. And we're a couple of weeks away, so we got a bit of work to do. But Sergio, let's get started. On November 16th, the Suns acquired Chris Paul and Abdel Nader from the Thunder, who got Ricky Rubio, Kelly Oubre, Ty Jerome, Jalen LeCue, and a top 12 first-round protected pick. We knew Chris Paul was going to go somewhere. He's gone to the Phoenix Suns. What do you think about this one?
I didn't see that coming, to be honest with you. I thought Chris Paul was going to go chase a ring, and he's obviously not doing that with the Suns. It's going to be interesting to see him mix with Booker, who's a hell of a player. Let's not forget Booker scored 70 points a couple years ago, I think it was. He's a lethal weapon on offense, and I think paired with Chris Paul, sky's the limit.
Yeah, and we saw Chris Paul last year, to play with. He played with two other guards. He's also played with James Harden before, so he can play off the ball, which I think should be good for Booker as well. They'll both have their terms of running the offense and getting shots. And yeah, it's what.
Yeah, you saw it a few years ago with Houston. I mean, he did play off the ball quite a bit with James Harden playing the point, and it wasn't an issue. I think Chris Paul's a very versatile player. He's a team first player, and I think he's going to bring nothing but success to the Suns, who are already on climbing uphill. They had a great bubble season. It's a shame they didn't get into the postseason, but I mean, they couldn't have done any better. Went 8-0, I think, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's a good move for them to start off the off season. Let's move into November 18th. We've got a couple of trades here involving Danny Green, but firstly, the Lakers get Dennis Schroeder, and Danny Green headed to the Thunder for the number 28 pick as well, Jaden McDaniels. That same day, Sixers traded for Danny Green and Terrence Ferguson, and they got off the Al Horford contract, and they had to give away the number 34 pick and a first-round pick and another draft rights. This is what both teams needed, and the rich get richer.
Yep, definitely great getting off of that Horford contract. I know that was first on their list, or up there, not first on their list, but at the top pretty much.
Let's talk more about the Lakers getting Dennis Schroeder. This is what I meant by the rich getting richer. This is a great signing. He had a great year last year at OKC. He was nearly sixth man of the year. And whether he starts or not for LA, it's just a great pickup.
Great pickup. I mean, Schroeder's definitely an upgrade comparison to Rondo. Rondo's, in the twilight of his career. He did put up good numbers in the playoffs towards the end, and he showed up really. But he's not a player that you can count on being healthy. And the reality is the Lakers this season, especially this season, it's going to matter where they land in the bracket. So they're going to have to play for number one or number two. They don't want to be not having home court advantage when it comes semifinals, conference finals. So they need a top-tier team. I think it's a definite upgrade. That guy's given amazing numbers last year, and he's going to continue to do it this year, I think. The only issue I see with Schroeder is, I don't know. I mean, the Lakers had a pretty good thing going with LeBron on the point. This guy wants to play starter. According to him, his agent said he was going to play as a starter. It's up in the air a bit.
For me, I don't think it matters where he plays. I think he's going to get 30 to 35 minutes a night, every night, be the third main scorer. And you're contending for a championship. You've never come close to doing that with the Hawks or the Thunder. So it's time to move on to Dennis Schroeder and reduce your role just a little bit. On trade night, we had a big trade. We had the Mavericks getting Josh Richardson and the number 36 pick, Tyler Bay, and the Sixers getting Doc's son-in-law, Seth Curry. I think this was a win-win for both teams here, Serge.
Yeah, I wonder if Doc's daughter had anything to do with that.
Does that count as tampering if your daughter is
Yeah, right.
recruiting her husband to the team?
Yeah, but it seemed like Doc played. He played with his son on the Clippers, and then yeah, no, yeah, he played with his son on the Clippers. There's a bit of issues behind that, I think, with Chris Paul involved. Um, yeah, I think this trade's good. I mean, I hate to see, like, I know you're a huge Mavs fan. I hate to see Seth go. I thought he's an amazing shooter and just getting better year after year.
Oh, 100%. He is obviously he's not a volume shooter like his brother, like a lot of other guys in this league, but consistently over the last few years, Seth Curry was just about the best shooter in the NBA, shooting about 45, 46% every year, which is pretty crazy. But I think this was a great trade for the Mavericks, to be honest. They got a really good pick in Tyler Bay, who's a very good defensive guy. He's got a good-looking shot coming through as well. But Josh Richardson, he can handle the ball about as well as Seth Curry. He is a dog on defense, and that's what Dallas needed. They needed to get better. They needed to get better on the defensive side of the ball. They did that getting Richardson, and that's a great trade. I think that really opened up a few things.
And I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, Dallas, as we know, does not have a problem scoring the ball.
No.
They need to get stronger on defense.
And he's shooting took a bit of a dip last year, but they had spacing issues all year last year in Philly, especially with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid trying to run that team. So let's move on. On November 19th, we had the New York Nets got Landry Shamet, Bruce Brown, and the number 57, Reggie Perry. And the Clippers got Luke Kennard, Justin Patton, number 55, Jay Scrubb, Portland's second-round pick for 2023 from the Pistons, and a few more picks from the Pistons in the second round. And the Pistons got Zezan Musa, Rodney Magruder, number 19, Sadiq Bey, draft rights to Jalen Hands, the Raptors second-round pick from the Nets, and some cash. Big thing in this trade for me was Luke Kennard going to the Clippers. They get another ball handler. He's been a little bit underrated, I think, playing for a pretty bad Detroit team the last couple of years. And Landry Shamet obviously moving to the Nets. What do you think, Serge?
Well, I think the biggest move out of there is the Nets getting more shooting. The Nets just keep getting better and better. And I think, depending on how KD comes back, which he should be fine. He took a lot of time off to rehab, and he's probably got a lot of 5-on-5 practice back. Having a guy like Shamet back and, being able to dish and having a good shooter, that just adds to the depth of the Nets.
100%. They've already got a lot of depth there. Whether or not there's a trade upcoming soon, we'll see. But they've definitely got some pieces to make a trade. On November 20th, Serge, we had the Pistons got Dwayne Dedman, and the Hawks got Tony Snell and Kyrie Thomas, who was waived straight away. Then we also had the T-Wolves getting Ricky Rubio back after a while. They get the number 25 pick, Emmanuel Quickley, who I believe has been moved on to New York anyway. And they got the number 28 pick from the Lakers, Jaden McDaniels. In exchange, the Thunder got James Johnson, the number 17 pick, Alexei Pokuchevsky, if I've said that right, and the Hawks 2024 second-round pick. Big one here, because James Johnson's going to get traded again in a couple minutes, is the T-Wolves. Bring back Ricky Rubio. Big move.
Yeah, Ricky, big crowd favorite.
Yeah.
Big crowd favorite. He was I believe he was drafted by the Wolves.
He was. I can't remember exactly what year, but I know that he was playing there when Kevin Love was putting up monster numbers as the head of that franchise.
And they had a good thing going there a couple years ago. But yeah, big crowd favorite. He's always been a good team player. The problem with Ricky Rubio is he doesn't have much of a shot.
No.
Great assists, great point guard. Like he makes teams better. So I think he's going to be a good fit.
I'm assuming he's going to be coming off the bench as a pass-first guard, and he's still a pretty good defender. He's got good hands, so that's a good little pickup for them. Talking about good pickups, we had the Trailblazers getting Enes Kanter and some crash for the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies got Mario Hezonja, the number 30 pick, Desmond Bane, good little pickup there. And the Celtics get the Grizz 2025 second-round pick, and a few more picks from either the Grizz or the Mav, depending on which one's more favorable. But the big news here is Enes Kanter heading back to Portland.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a good fit. Kanter's, a tough offensive rebounder. He's not a guy who needs his shots. I think he's a tough player, and Portland needs some of those. He needs someone who's like ready to get down and gritty.
Yeah, they needed a little bit more backup as well. Zach Collins is looking like he's going to be that 4-5 of the future, kind of backing up Nurkic. But Enes Kanter just gives you something else. You play him 20 minutes, he's going to give you 10 and 10 every time. He's going to give you some offensive rebounds. He's going to cost you a few points on the defensive end, but I don't know. They've picked up a few other good guys, which we'll talk about in the next couple of days. So I think it all balances itself out here. Next, finally, on November 22nd, we'd heard about this trade. Obviously, Bogdanovic fell through, but we finally had all the details of this trade. So the Bucks got Drew Holiday and the number 60 pick Sam Merrill from the Pelicans. The Pelicans got Steven Adams, Eric Bledsoe, first-round pick swap with the Bucks, 2027 first-round pick, and some swaps in 2024 and 26. The Thunder got George Hill, Darius Miller, Heinrich Williams, Josh Gray, Zylan Cheatham. The Nuggets 21st, top 14 predicted. The Wizards 22nd round pick. There's a lot of stuff flying around here, and a lot of words.
I think I lost you already, Scotty.
Yeah, there's so many picks flying around. But apart from that, the Nuggets also got a really good get in RJ Hampton, who was playing in New Zealand for the Breakers this year. But the big one here is Drew Holiday. They finally got their man to Bucks. They got someone to put around Giannis. It's not the trade they wanted, obviously. They were hoping to get their 1 and their 2 in this trade with Bogdanovic, but Drew Holiday is a great pickup. Really underrated guy.
Yeah, great player, and definitely an upgrade. I think we were speaking about in comparison to Bledsoe. Brings a little bit more length. He's a lights-out shooter, and I think he's going to be a great fit. That he's been on a team that's been underperforming for the last few years. So I think he's going to get a shot now at the big stage.
Yeah, and I think the Pelicans did pretty well out of this as well, apart from a few pick swaps and a first-round pick. Steven Adams and Zion. That's a beefy front court right there. You are going to be bruised the next day after playing those brothers.
No one's winning any arm wrestling fights against those two.
No, 100%. You don't want to mess with those guys. Obviously, a few veterans.
I like Steven Adams. He's a team-first player, hard worker. He is what he is. He's probably not going to achieve anything better, but he's a strong player, and he just plays his role to perfection. I like that guy. I think he's a great guy.
Yeah, and I think the Thunder got a few more picks and a few guys, but I think they're just going to try and trade George Hill. Any of these vets that they get, they're going to be looking to head towards teams competing for a championship. So,
did you get a chance to watch RJ Hampton? Were we talking about this? I believe
we watched. I've watched a little bit of RJ Hampton for the New Zealand Breakers, but they had a really bad season. LaMelo Ball got handed the keys essentially to the Illawarra Hawks, which is just down from Sydney, about an hour and a bit away. But RJ Hampton, that team was going through some turmoil all year, a lot of infighting. He didn't really get the chance he probably deserved, and he played a fair bit. But I think that's a great position for him to be on a contending team. He's not going to be asked a lot, kind of like MPJ last year, to be honest. Come in, maybe later in the season we'll find you some minutes, and if you perform well, you'll find a spot in the rotation in the playoffs. But there's no rush. Bowl as well. I give these guys the next couple of years and ease them into the rotation.
That's the beauty of, I think what my position is on NCAA. I think if players are good enough at 18, I don't think there's no reason why they should be doing 1 year of college when they're not getting paid and NCAA is making so much money off of them. I think that's a platform. They can jump to the NBA platform and have a couple years to fit in, And yeah. I think these guys are freaks of nature physically. So all they just need is the right coaching and the right strengthening and focusing on their weaknesses. And, within 2 or 3 years, they're up there.
Yeah, 100%, man. And the Nuggets, they're only trending upwards anyway. All their stars are really young. So they have a chance to grow as a team together. A lot of these guys coming through. We'll go back.
Jokic is 25?
25, 26. So is Murray. MPJ's 21. Some of these guys, mate. Here we go. Also on the 21st, we had the Thunder got Trevor Ariza. This is going to be the start of the Trevor Ariza sweepstakes we're hearing. The Thunder got Trevor Ariza and Justin Jackson from the Dallas Mavericks and some draft considerations. The Pistons got DeLon Wright. The Mavericks got off the DeLon Wright contract, and they got Bloodsport, baby, James Johnson. As a Mavs fan, we talked all playoffs last year when we were getting our asses handed to us physically by the Clippers, that we needed some big guys coming in. First, Josh Richardson, good defender. James Johnson. As Jalen Rose, I like to say all the time, he's all alley team, man. He's one of those guys you do not want to run into in an alley. He will stand up for his teammates, and I think this was a great trade for the Mavericks to get him.
Yeah, he'll be to Doncic what Oakley was to Jordan in the beginning of his career, probably. A guy who's a protector. You don't get to push around our star.
He's one of those guys, he doesn't need the stats in his favor to be having a good game as well. He can get a few rebounds, a few blocks. He's a ball mover. He's a handy little passer. He's just a guy to come in and play some hard defense. And I think the Mavs really got someone good in that one too. Here we go on November 22nd. This is where it's going to get a little bit confusing here, guys, because Trevor Ariza's name is going to keep moving through. But we had the Trailblazers traded for Robert Covington. Great trade. The Rockets got Trevor Ariza, the number 16 pick, Isaiah Stewart, and a 2021 first-round protected pick from the Trailblazers. Great move here. Robert Covington is a great find.
Great player. Covington getting dropped early. I mean, the Sixers losing him is a big loss, I think.
Yeah, 100%. That the next day, we had the Pistons trading for Trevor Ariza. They also got the number 16 pick who'd just come from the Rockets, Isaiah Stewart, a bit of cash, $4.6 million, a future second-round pick. And the Rockets signed and traded Christian Wood. They also received a 2021 heavily protected first-round pick from the Pistons and a 2021 second-round pick from the Lakers. It's a great signing. I'm not sure what the Pistons were doing here. They had a great young kid last year in Christian Wood, who wasn't going to be signing for that much. I think it was 3 years, $45 million. We'll talk about that in our next pod. Here we go. Apart from Trevor Ariza moving, great little find here. They've got another big on their team now, Houston.
He's got a lot on his plate right now, and I think he's kind of playing the field as well as he can with not knowing really what's going to happen with Harden and Westbrook. So he's kind of securing a few spots, irrespective of them leaving or staying.
Yeah, 100%. With all the rumors flowing around in Rockets camp at the moment.
Yeah, and Houston's definitely done with small ball.
Yeah, I think so. You needed to pick up someone, and Christian Wood's a grade 4, 5 on a pretty reasonable contract, a guy that's going to grow in the next couple of years. And depending on what happens with Harden and Westbrook, who they get back, is a good piece to have in the team. Let's go. I think we have – this is where it gets confusing. Do we have one more trade for Trevor Ariza coming up, I believe? I think he's heading back somewhere here now. Yep, we've already gone. Sorry, I missed that one. Trevor Ariza he finished this whole time at the Thunder, which I'm sure he'll be leaving there sooner or later, heading to a team that has a hope of winning a few games this year. On November 22nd.
Was that 4 teams, Scotty? 4 teams he went to this year?
Yes, so we went in the space of, I think, 48 hours. Trevor Ariza was on the Portland team. He's on the Houston team, on the Detroit team, and he's on the Thunder with 1,000 draft picks. So I'm sure that...
Do you reckon he's just sitting by a pool, like in the hills over here in Hollywood, just like getting text messages from his agent and just laughing?
What's the point of packing your bags until you figure out where you're going, what climate you're heading to? And there's a lot of teams that'll be looking for a guy like Trevor Ariza. I don't think he's going to play the 30 minutes that he used to, but for 15, 20 minutes a night coming off the bench, I wouldn't be surprised to see like an Atlanta or something go after him. Just one more guy there on the bench to help these young guys come through. But we'll see what that happens. I'm sure he'll get bought out or something. On November 22nd.
As long as he doesn't get nutmegged by Trey again.
Yeah, there'll be locker room issues if that's happening in training, I'll tell you that. Obviously, we had some bad news a week ago with the loss of Klay Thompson. Really terrible to see Klay go down. Everyone loves Klay. Great player, great defender, great shooter. But the Warriors moved quick, and they got Kelly Oubre from the Thunder. The Thunder got a 2021 protected first-round pick from the Warriors, second-round pick from the Nuggets. That could possibly change as well. This is a great trade. I think the Warriors, they didn't want to be in purgatory again waiting for the lottery, and they just needed to – they want to make a push for the playoffs this year, and Kelly Oubre, I think, pushes them over.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to the GM on such short notice to get a player who's got, he's not Klay Thompson, obviously, but comparable numbers, you know, a guy who can fit in and not, you won't see that much suffering from Golden State, you know, maybe 5-point difference, 4-point difference in your average per game. But he's a guy who's also, which we shouldn't forget, Kelly Oubre, since he came into the league, every year his stats have gone like this.
100%.
So he's a guy who's hitting his peak. So sky's the limit. And also, you know, Golden State is a new team right now. The addition of Wiggins last year. Let's see if he falls into the system with a complete team where now it's game time. They're not just playing games like last year.
They're not relying him to do what he did in Minnesota either. In Minnesota, They were asking him to be the main guy with Karl Anthony Towns there, and I think he can pick his shots a little bit better. Hopefully his field goal percentage will go up a little bit, plays a bit smarter on defense. And continuing with the Kelly Oubre, he's a good defender. Tsunami Puppy, he's long, man. He can dunk. He's switchable. He can guard up to 4s, 3, 2s. It's a great get. I think they needed some help on defense this year. Steph Curry is getting a little bit older these days. He's never been the best defender in the league, but you need a few other guys to help Draymond and really put that team into the middle of the pack at least.
And it gives them some youth, you know?
100%. Just James Wiseman coming through now as well. Here we go. This was a big one. No one saw this coming for me. This was the Pistons. Got a sign and trade with Jeremy Grant. They also got the draft rights to Nikola Radovic. That was $20 million a year, I believe, for Jeremy Grant. And the Nuggets got some cash. And in that trade also, the T-Wolves got Ed. Oh, sorry, no, that's a different trade. Apologies. I thought Jeremy Grant was going to stay. I just thought he had a breakout playoffs last year. They don't ask him to do too much. He was averaging 15 to 20 points a game as a spot-up, three-point shooter, a cutter, an offensive rebounder. You're playing with two probably top 15 guys in the league at the moment, and you got a chance of winning a title. But obviously, he wanted a bigger offensive role, and he's gone to the Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, at first glance, I didn't understand this trade. Or I didn't understand why Jeremy Grant would want to leave. He's on a championship contending team.
It was the same money. It was the same money, which is the craziest thing.
So it's straight. He just wants to be shooting the ball more. And I think, I mean, now at second glance, what happened was he was probably foreseeing that Porter Jr. was going to get a lot more shots this coming season. So that was going to mean less shots for him.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And I don't know, that we'll talk about Detroit when we get into the teams very shortly. They got so many guys with the Mason Plumlee signing that we'll talk about as well. They've got so many guys in the front court now. It's a little bit crazy. Little trade here. We had the Knicks getting Ed Davis in a couple seconds. The Jazz got some cash. And the Pistons got Zaire Smith. Good little pickup, Zaire Smith. And the Sixers got another backup point guard in Tony Bradley. And we also had the Cavs getting JaVale McGee in the Lakers' 22nd round pick. And a couple little pickups there for the Lakers in Alfonso McKinney and Jordan Bell, just to round out their roster. Any thoughts on those ones, Serge?
Going younger, you know, that was the main thing for the Lakers. They want their bench to be younger.
Energy
to be younger in general.
Yeah.
So I think they did well. And Rob Pelinka did a great job.
Really.
He did. They accomplished everything they needed in the off season.
100%, Serge. 100%.
I even wore my.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Man,
down. Special edition.
Wonderful. All right, guys. Thank you for joining the first ever podcast. I'm talking ball with Scotty and Serge. I'm Scotty. That's Sergio. Thanks for watching. Like us on YouTube. Subscribe. Follow us on all our socials on Facebook at Talking Ball with Scotty and Sergio. Instagram hopefully will be up shortly. Thanks again, guys. Hope you're all well. Pretty tough times going through at the moment. As long as we stick together, watch as much basketball as possible. Sergio, any final words?
As long as you watch us and follow us, we're going to get bigger and better.
That's it, baby. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in.